He went from writing code to cracking skulls and made millions doing it. Joe Lauzon, the UFC's blood-soaked bonus king, vanished without warning. This is how an IT guy became a cage-fighting legend. Joe Lauzon didn't grow up throwing punches. He grew up fixing computers. A quiet kid from Massachusetts, Joe studied computer science and spent his early days debugging code, not brawling in gyms. But everything changed when he stumbled into MMA. Not for fame, not for money, just for fun. He started training in local gyms, and before anyone realized what was happening, Joe was on an 8-0 tear in the regional fight scene. And here's the kicker. Every win was a stoppage. Submissions, knockouts. He didn't make decisions. Then came the call that would change everything. The UFC needed a late replacement to fight former lightweight champ Jens Pulver. Joe, the unknown tech guy, was brought in as a stepping stone, a tune-up fight. But in just 48 seconds, he silenced everyone. Joe unleashed a savage overhand right that flatlined Pulver. The crowd went nuts, and so did Dana White. At that moment, the programmer became a problem. Lauzon didn't just win, he arrived, and from that day on, he wasn't just some IT guy dabbling in MMA. He was the UFC's newest wildcard, ready to trade keystrokes for chaos. After that jaw-dropping UFC debut, Lauzon entered The Ultimate Fighter Season 5, and this wasn't just any season. It featured BJ Penn, Nate Diaz, and Gray Maynard, a stacked lineup of future killers. But Joe didn't flinch. He fit right in, proving he belonged in the big leagues. Dana White couldn't get enough. He called Lauzon the most exciting lightweight in the UFC, and for once, it wasn't just hype. Lauzon fought like a man possessed, diving into brawls, chasing submissions, and pulling off flying triangles like he was in a video game. Then came the bonuses. Joe turned violence into a paycheck, racking up 15 post-fight bonuses. That's the second most in UFC history. Every time he stepped into the cage, you knew someone was either getting choked out, knocked out, or carted out. And with $50,000 to $100,000 per bonus, Joe was stacking more money in chaos than some champs made in calm. His 2012 war with Jim Miller, blood everywhere, a non-stop slugfest that shattered the UFC record for most strikes in a lightweight fight. He didn't win that one, but nobody cared. He was a fighter fans would pay to watch lose, because no matter what, Joe left it all in the cage. Here's the wild part. Joe never quit his day job. While other fighters were busy branding themselves, Joe was logging into his IT system between training sessions. Even during his rise in the UFC, he balanced fight camps with tech work. Most guys fought for fame. Joe? He fought because he liked it. He wasn't trying to be a superstar. He was just Joe. That down-to-earth, no-ego, regular dude who'd choke someone out Saturday night and fix a printer on Monday morning. Then came Lauzon MMA, a gym he opened mid-career. It wasn't just a side hustle. It was his exit plan, a long-term vision while still throwing hands inside the octagon. That kind of foresight? Rare in a sport where most crash and burn. His 2012 fight against Jamie Varner. Joe got rocked, nearly slept, but somehow flipped it into a nasty triangle choke. Victory from the edge of defeat. Then, he showed up to work Monday like nothing happened. No bragging, no limping, just back to business. That's why fans loved him, not because he talked trash, but because he didn't need to. He was proof that you didn't need to be a monster to fight like one. Some fighters chase belts. Joe Lauzon? He chased blood, grit, and glory, and nothing captured that better than his 3-fight war with Jim Miller. It all started in 2012. Two battle-tested lightweights walking into what became a 15-minute massacre. Miller won by decision, but Lauzon stole the spotlight. Round 2 was straight-up carnage. Both men drenched in red, slipping on their blood. The mat? It looked like a crime scene. It wasn't just a fight, it was a statement. Joe Lauzon doesn't break, even when everything else does. Fans didn't care he lost. They were beginning to see him again. Fast forward to 2016. The rematch was less wild, but just as intense. Lauzon came in smarter, sharper. The brawling was still there, but he'd added patience to the chaos. The result? A razor-close split decision loss that could have gone either way. Still no win over Miller, but Lauzon was never about the record. Then came 2020, the trilogy fight no one expected but everyone respected. These two veterans went to war one final time, and this time, Joe edged out a hard-earned victory in a fight that once again took Fight of the Night honors. No titles, no trash talk, just 3 brutal chapters of mutual destruction. Legacy? These fights didn't just define Lauzon's career, they immortalized him. He may never have worn UFC gold, but against Jim Miller, he showed the world what it means to be all heart, all violence, all in. Joe wasn't the best, but in a sport that worships savagery, he was the bravest. By the time Joe Lauzon hit 30, his face told the whole story, scarred, stitched, and bleeding before the bell even rang. Years of wars had carved a map of mayhem across his skin. He tried to adapt, switched up his training, cut back on sparring, and started fighting smarter. But there's only so much strategy can do when you've left pieces of yourself in every cage you've ever entered. By 2018, the signs were hard to ignore. Against Stevie Ray, Lauzon looked slow and hesitant. The snap was gone. For the first time, fans weren't chanting his name. They were asking, "Is this the end?" But Joe had one more chapter left, one last chance to remind the world who he was. In 2019, he walked into the octagon in front of a Boston crowd, his people, his city, his moment. Facing rising prospect Jonathan Pierce, Lauzon didn't just show up, he dominated. Clinch, takedown, vicious ground and pound, first-round finish, vintage Lauzon. And then, nothing. No post-fight call-out, no retirement speech. He just vanished. It wasn't a fall, it was a fade. And in true Lauzon fashion, it was on his terms. No begging for a swan song, no clinging to past glory. He left just like he fought, quiet but brutal, honest and unforgettable. The perfect ending was lined up. A final clash with Donald Cowboy Cerrone. 2 veterans, 2 warriors, one last ride. But the fight fell through. And just like that, Joe Lauzon slipped away. No emotional press conference, no tearful farewell, no gloves left in the cage. He never asked for a retirement fight, never begged the UFC for a send-off. He didn't need validation. He had already left everything in the cage. And that's the Lauzon legacy. While others staged dramatic exits or came back for one more payday, Joe just walked off quietly into the shadows. No Hall of Fame push, no tribute montage, just silence. But behind that silence, a legacy that speaks volumes. Today, Lauzon runs his gym, Lauzon MMA, where he's building the next generation of killers. He drops the occasional tech meme, lives under the radar, and never chases clout. And here's the stat that stings: 13 UFC finishes, more than legends like Khabib, BJ Penn, or Frankie Edgar. Yet Joe never made it about numbers. He made it about moments, about chaos, about showing up when others backed down. He didn't just leave the sport, he ghosted it like a legend. Joe Lauzon never wore UFC gold. He was never ranked #1. He didn't chase belts, press conferences, or fame. But when the lights hit and the cage door closed, he mattered more than most champions ever will. He didn't need titles. He had 15 post-fight bonuses. That's more wins than some title holders had. He made a career out of being a must-watch TV. Every fight felt like a bar fight with elite skills. His style was chaotic, unpredictable, wild, and reckless in the best way. While others played it safe to protect records, Lauzon threw himself into the storm. Win or lose, fans knew they were getting their money's worth. And that's why arenas lit up every time his name was announced. He also did what few fighters ever think to do. He built his future while still in the fight. Lauzon MMA wasn't just a gym, it was his legacy plan, a safety net, a launchpad for the next generation. No financial ruin, no late career desperation. He showed fighters the blueprint: plan early, fight hard, leave clean. But maybe the most legendary move Joe ever made was leaving. In an era where retirements are fake-outs and comebacks are cash grabs, Lauzon disappeared without a sound. No drama, no farewell tour, just one last win, one last walk, and silence. And in that silence, he said more than any mic ever could. Joe Lauzon didn't need the belt to be a legend. He earned his status with blood, grit, and one final power move, vanishing like a true warrior. If Joe Lauzon's story hit you like one of his overhand rights, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more fight legends who broke the mold. Drop a comment with your favorite Lauzon moment, and remember, not all heroes need belts. Some just leave blood in their wake.